Welcome to our podcast. Let's get high, besties.
It's pretty cold out here.
Yeah.
I love that outfit though. I love that suit. I am.
Thank you. It's
That's
like
cool.
really warm. I figured if something's gonna try to scare us, they're gonna see me.
They're gonna say,
They're gonna be like, oh, they're taken care of.
yeah.
I mean, only we decide to come out here right now.
Right.
Why not though? It's perfect. We got our drink, we got our smokes, we got what do we have? That's right. Scary fucking stories for y'all.
Period. It's our last episode.
Oopsie. Oh my god, I can't talk. I'm so emotional. Okay, so it's our last episode, right? And we brought in some stories.
On the darker side of things. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody, know that you're coming into this knowing that it's gonna be a little crazy, but I mean it's something that you've seen already in movies, you've seen it in whatchamacallit, so it's like
nothing we can't handle.
yeah,
per
it's
se.
nothing we can't handle. So
Maybe it's not even gonna be like scary to like everybody else, but to me, I was like, oh.
did you want to start or do you want me to start? If you're not okay with starting.
No, I think I need a hit, like a big hit where I feel it all over my body. And you know what I think it is too?
So, what? Why?
I'm scared.
Oh.
I'm telling you the story. Like, it's probably not going to be scary for a lot of people, but for me, I was like, what the fuck? Porque, like, sí me da miedo. This type of shit, sí me da miedo.
We're in a safe place.
Are we?
What was that? Did you hear that?
What?
I heard a stick or something.
Where?
Over there.
Other way.
La Casa de las Brujas.
I want to start off first with, I want to paint the story, right? Imagine you are in the ages of 8-ish, 9-ish. You're in Mexico, and you have to go outside to use the restroom. Your grandpa's going to be out there.
And he's just chilling outside?
He's just chilling outside. And the
Every
thing
day?
is, every night.
Oh,
every night.
Yeah. Okay.
Mainly at night. The thing is, he has this like staticky radio, and the show was called La Mano Peluda. These people call into this radio station, and they share their paranormal stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually people like in small ranches, like a lot of it has to do with like brujerias and shit like that, or with the Mexican folklore things.
Yeah.
So we would be so fucking scared to go to the restaurant because we knew he was going to be out there listening to these fucking scary ass stories. So when we would go to the restroom, we had the window open because it was fucking hot. So anyways,
hell no.
that's what
this
story. This girl calls to the show, the Mano Peluda, because she's having a very unfortunate experience with this new apartment that she started renting. So she's excited about renting this place because it kind of reminds me of Only Murders in
the Building.
Only Murders in the Building. How they describe it, like it's such a beautiful building. It's like old, and a lot of like famous people have stayed here, and so it's the same thing with this building in Mexico. It's like a real Arconia.
Oh yeah.
It's like the real deal.
Okay.
Right? And she's calling into this radio show to share her experience, and she, like I said, she's really excited. She just moved to this place. This place is like really beautiful, like the architecture in this place. She's just going off about how excited she was. She was gonna move in on a Saturday. On a Friday, she decides to go over so she can check out the place and some last minute things.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that her mom gave her some coconuts, some cured coconuts that they were like blessed or something, for her to take to her house to get rid of all the bad energy or all the negative shit in the house. Okay, so whenever her mom gives her like these coconuts, she was thinking she was gonna use them more for like if there was a couple that was living in in the house, and they broke up, and that negative energy, in case she tries to be in a relationship. She thought it was going to help with that. That kind of like small. She was, I guess, thinking small. She was going and thinking like, my place isn't going to be what it turned out to be. She's like, the kind of negative energy that these beautiful coconuts that my darling mother has given me is going to be protecting me from like small shit. Like, whoever was here before me, like,
Yeah.
fuck off. Like, fuck your energy. My mom gave me coconuts, bitch.
Yeah.
You can't touch me.
Yeah.
I think on one of the first nights, she has a friend come stay with her, and she said that the following morning, she was like, I need to go. I want to go home. I don't feel good. Like, I feel tired. I feel like drained. Like, she's like, you don't even want to have breakfast. Like, you don't want to sleep. She's like, no, I just don't want to be here. She's like, I want to go home. Like, I don't feel good. I just feel really fucking drained. No offense, but I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
So she just took off. So she's like, okay, well, whatever. Another day, she has a second friend come over, and since she has cats, she's like, okay, you can stay in my room. Okay, so she says that at 5 a.m. her friend pops up on the door, and she's like, I'm leaving. Like, I asked her why it's 5 a.m. It's like fucking early. Like, what's going on? She's like, I don't care, I'm leaving. She's like, I'm leaving you my car. I can't sleep. I'm gonna take a taxi. I'm out. She's like, in case you need to leave too. She's like, cause I don't feel comfortable here. Like, there's something going on. I don't know. I can't sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, okay. Because of how she barely moved into this place, and, her friends are already, like, kind of tripping out. And she's like, okay, I'm going to have this person who knows how to do, like, feng shui and tell me how to decorate or how to put things a certain way so it could have, like, the good energy and the positive energy and shit like that. And she says that whenever this person comes into her house, she takes a pendulum and she asks, is there any bad energies or is there any negative energies that shouldn't be here? Are they in this house? And that the thing started going fucking crazy. And that she's like, whoa.
Oh, hell.
And that she asked again, like, is there something? And then that thing kept, like, fucking going crazy. She took out those things. I don't know what they're called. It's like wands? Like those needle things?
That move, yeah.
Yeah. She took those motherfuckers out and she asked, again, like, is there any negative? And those things kept, like, saying yes, that there's something here. It's not good. Like, there's something here. There's something here. There's something here. It just keeps saying, like, there's something here. There's something here. Yeah. Like, yes, bitch, you want to know if there's something here? There's something here. In case it wasn't clear. She then gives her these, like, mantra exercises, yes, that she can do, say, chant, or, around her house, so she does that, and then she leaves to go to work or something. She comes back, and sorry, I'm high, I'm like losing. I'm a little nervous too. Okay, so when she gets to her house, she's like, nope, I don't know what the fuck it is, but I don't feel safe in this fucking house. No, so she calls up another friend. And it made me like, cause like, since she's calling into this radio show, she's like, I called him over. I made sure he knew that it was just, to sleep. Like, it wasn't any other intentions or whatever. I was like, okay. She had given away her furniture because she was planning on getting new ones or whatever, since the feng shui and all that shit. Yeah. So she had put a blanket on the floor. They were talking. Suddenly, she's like, it starts feeling fucking hot. Like, the floor starts feeling like it's really, really hot. Like, the building isn't really located in a place where the sun hits it that much to the point where the walls start getting hot, the floor starts getting hot. It would have to be like the sun would have to be directly hitting the building. She's like, and it was well after midnight. So there's really no fucking reason why it should be that fucking hot. Yeah. She's like, my friend is completely soaked, completely drenched in his own fucking sweat. She's like, and when I would try to put my hands on the floor, it felt like they were burning me. Like the floor was burning my fucking hands. She couldn't even touch her own fucking floor. Okay, so she has that experience, right? And they're just like, what the fuck? You know, they're freaking out. Like, this is kind of weird. That following Monday, I guess it was the weekend, that following Monday, she decides to go through the pictures that she took on the first night that she moved in there. From the way, because she explains it weird. I think she took the pictures and then she was using an app where it shows you the thermal, what do you call it? I'm sorry, I'm not a ghostbuster. What do you call it? It shows you like the heat, the different heat levels or the heat waves or whatever the fuck. Esa pincha madre donde te enseña los ghosts. Those fucking things is what this bitch was using.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know what it's called.
X-ray vision, I don't know.
Yeah, some sort of fucking Inspector Gadget shit.
Some type of Casper viewing thing.
Una de esas madres, you know, she was, I don't know if it was an app or something, you know, donde te enseña los pinches ghosts. And she says that she had been having trouble with her hallway. I guess she felt something there that she was like, So whenever she's going through the pictures, the first one that she sees, she puts the Inspector Gadget shit over it. And it shows, she says, it shows like a silhouette of a man with a sombrero, kind of like it cuts off its legs. And she was like, what the fuck? Like,
and where did she see this?
in the hallway, where she would always feel like weird and seen, or like she felt lights. Yeah. The other one was, she says that she's looking at these pictures, right? So she sees the one where there's this man in the hallway and he's wearing a sombrero. She says that as soon as she sees that picture, that her nose started just dripping. She was like, what the fuck? So she said that lasted like the rest of the day, that it just kind of like kept happening.
Like a lot, or like,
I don't know. She's like, I don't know if it was just like my anxiety or if it was, you know, that I was just so nervous that my body just reacted and nasal drippage happened. She then says that the picture that she took in the living room shows her cats. They're, you know, like walking around or whatever. But like right above the floor where the blanket would have been, where her and her friend had spent the night, it showed like a little speck. And whenever she zoomed in to the picture, sorry, I'm cold. Whenever she zoomed into the picture, it was another face with a sombrero, but it was just floating. Whenever she took a picture in her bedroom, it shows another like speck. Like it was just like her room, her bed, everything was fucking normal. But like on her wall, it showed like a blob, I guess, or a spot.
Okay.
You know, like the other ones. But whenever she zooms in, it looked like it was between 10 to 12 faces, but they weren't human. She's like, they look like monkeys just staring at you. She's like, some look like gremlins, like really pointy ears. They all have their mouths open, like they all have fangs, hundreds of eyes everywhere. She's like, there's a black man amongst all of these creatures, and they look absolutely demonic. She's like, it's like each one of them is coming out of the other one existing. Like if one of them's eyes is another one's mouth, and another one's mouth is the other one's ear. She's like, and this is like, there's hundreds of eyes. They all look fucking demonic, like gremlins, pointy ears and fangs. And she says that what she remembers seeing too is that man, that he was the only one that looked kind of human. She mentions in this, I have to look up because she makes sure to mention that there's a movie with Al Pacino and a devil and a lawyer. And I guess it showed some demons or something like that. She's like, the way that they looked in the movie, that's the way my wall is. It's covered with those creatures. And they are furious. They just look angry and they look all fucking scary. And they're like all over her fucking wall.
And this is in the hallway?
No, in her bedroom.
Oh, in her bedroom.
Yeah. She's like, it's true when they say that God works in mysterious ways, because he's showing me that there's a world, and honestly I'm overwhelmed because I don't know why this is happening. But as superstitious as I am, I thought to myself, they're not running away from my own home. Like, this is my fucking house. Like, they're not going to kick me out, for fuck's sake. They're in the 20th century. what fucking century are we on? Whatever,
Yeah.
you know, we're in 2000s, like, I guess she showed people like some of the pictures, and she told them like, hey, this is what's been going on to my house at my house, and some of them decided like, you should do this, you should do that, like to cleanse the home from. Everybody had like their own, I guess, remedies to help her cleanse her house. And she had a coworker stay with her, and someone had lent her a Bible, and a crucifix, and pretty much like everything that she needed to cleanse her house. She said that they began doing the rituals and the exercises, beginning with the prayer and some bells that they had placed on every doorknob, and the flowers were drenched in like holy water. And I guess she was like that they did this. They did the rituals all night, and that it started getting like extremely hot. She's like, it got so hot to the point that when I was moving the flowers from one room to another one, some of the holy water got on me and it went through my sweater and it fucking burned me. She's like, it got so hot to the point where we didn't know what to do. They started putting pictures of saints like on the walls, starting in her room, going out, afterwards that they do all the praying and all the rituals and putting the pictures and the holy water and everything. She says that she just felt like she couldn't stay there. I mean, I wouldn't want to fucking stay there either after having to do all that shit. And kudos to that fucking person too, because not just anybody would want to go into your fucking house and help you fight demons.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like a lot of people would be like, nah. I feel like, I'm sorry, but I'm one of them. Like, nah, homie.
I kind of would want to,
you would
be a Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
That would feel like
that shit scares me.
An experience.
Okay, so they didn't sleep there. They made sure to turn off all the lights and everything. The following day, whenever she was gonna go back home, she was gonna have this lady come over and help her do some cleaning, some like deep cleaning or whatever. She had this tea made so she can clean her house with, and she didn't tell the lady nothing about what was going on or anything. She's just like, just help me clean, scrub walls and floors and everything. Okay, so after they finish cleaning, right, she makes sure that all the lights are off in her house, and because she's gonna go to work, right? So she decides to take some pictures, and she's like, I'm outie. She goes to work and she tells one of her coworkers, like, hey, you want to come back home with me? Like, I'm kind of scared of everything that's fucking going on. And they're like, all right. So they fucking come over, and she says that the lights were on, and whenever she's going to the kitchen, that the light like fucking go. No, they turn off.
Or they bust.
They turn off.
Okay.
They didn't bust. Sorry.
Okay.
They turn off. And she said that when she saw it happen like that, it turns off. She just thought twice to herself, I am light. She's like, and then it turned on. She's like, I don't know what came over me for saying that. She's like, but it just hit me right there, like in my head, like I just said it, like I am light, and she's like
And it turned on.
the light turned on, and she said that she asked her friend, like, did you see that? And they're like, yeah, bitch, we fucking saw it. She's like, as I mentioned before, I have cats, and while all this is happening, they practically just lived under my bed. She's like, which is fucking weird because I've had my cats for over a year, and they both used to like love sleeping on the bed with me. Like they would always be with me. She's like, and during all this bullshit is happening, she's like, they've basically just been under my bed. She's like, and I can't blame them because who wants to be in a place where they're just watching you? She's like, and since cats, or they say that animals can see all this shit, like that's why my cats didn't want to fucking be out here, be like out anywhere, because they can see all this fucking bullshit. They look scary as fuck. Like, she's like, now I understand why my fucking cats didn't want to be out here. She's like, but last night I felt good because they were on the bed with me and they were purring and they were, just interacting with me, and everything was good. She's like, I had my little Bible with me, my crucifix, even, like after all the fucking cleaning that she had to do, and with the tea, and then with what happened in the kitchen after the cleaning and everything, she still feels like they're not gonna run me out of my house.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna fucking live here. Like, this is my shit, you know? She makes sure to say, like, we're in the 21st century. Like, we've been to the moon. Like, this is probably all in my head. This can't be real. Like, maybe I'm the one also convincing everybody else around me that they do see the stuff in the pictures. You know, like, since I already told them, like, maybe I'm putting that shit in their head already. And they're just saying, like, yeah, I see that stuff too. She's like, that was until today. As it turns out, my bedroom is clean, but now the living room floor is infested with these beings. She's like, the original ones that I had seen, plus hundreds more that look way, way, way crazy, way scary, and they're all laughing. She's like, I even see a witch with a pointy hat and everything. She's like, what got me was that some of the faces that I saw are of normal people. She's like, these people look like that they're trapped in there, that there's this sadness in their eyes, that they're agonizing. She's like, it got to the point where I began to think that maybe I was seeing all these human things because I'm supposed to help them out with something. She's like, I spoke to a church about blessing this house. I called my landlord, and there's something that throws me off about the couple that owns the building. She's like, it's a young couple. She's like, the only reason that she brings up that she thinks it's weird, she's like, because it's such an old building and it's such like a big historic building in Mexico, you know, that you wouldn't really think like this young couple is the one like running this shit. Like, you know, you would think it would be like somebody with more experience or more professional, because she says that she's like, the wife, being a skeptic, just laughing while I explained everything to them that was going on and why I wanted to have the house blessed. She's like, I insisted on asking what had happened in the building. The husband then proceeds to tell her that he lived there his entire life with his dad. His dad was like this very famous producer, theater producer or something, and his dad had passed away in the apartment. She's like, what I think is weird is that this happened 60 years ago, and either he hasn't been renting that apartment, the one that she's in, she's like, or he has, and he knows that weird shit happens, and he just lets people rent them until they can't, you know, take it anymore, and then they just fucking leave. She's like, so there's people that they just don't last, and I guess they just don't fuck with it. But the wife kept insisting that it was all in her head, that I needed to relax. She's like, but yesterday she called me and she told me that she had been in a car accident after, I don't know if it was like after leaving that place. She's like, she's like, I now have a feeling that this building can sense when you're not okay with yourself. She's like, I began looking into the history of the building and found three interesting things. There's this curandera, but this lady is like really known in Mexico, like for working with, I guess in a way, like Illuminati-ish type, because it was like famous people and shit, and you know, it has to do with the witchcraft, and it has to do with, like, you know, and this lady was the one that would do the witchcraft for these people, you know, and this so lady would be living there. Okay, and then she would work again, like she would do all these cleanses and all these rituals. There was even an instance where someone, I guess, was passing by and they heard them doing a ritual and they were speaking, like, I guess, in tongues. Like, they couldn't understand what the fuck they were saying and they were going, you know, crazy. So, like, the second thing is that the elevator doesn't work, and that's because the building had fallen down and it had accidentally killed 3 people. She's like, apart from this being such a beautiful building, it's known for having housed various famous people and artists and intellectuals. She's like, and one of these writers used to live here and used one of the stories of a murder that happened in that place. He used in one of his movies. That this happened in the 70s. She's like, so if I were to count the 3 deaths that happened, she's like, plus all the work that this lady would do there, she's like, for countless of people, countless of rituals, like countless of sacrifices, and all this other shit. She's like, not to mention that this building went through the Revolutionary War. She's like, so how many deaths are in this building?
Damn.
She's like, I don't know. She's like, so even if I could, as she's caught, like saying her story more, this girl's like crying her eyes out. Like she sounds so fucking terrified. She's like, even if I try to cleanse the place, she's like, there's no stopping to it. She's like, if I move the things from like one wall, it would only go to another one into another floor. She's like, and then it's like an entire fucking building. She's like, I don't know how the other people live here. She's like, since I've lived here, I don't have any neighbors. She's like, the day that I was moving in, somebody was moving out. She's like, and since then, I haven't seen any neighbors in my hallway or anything. She's like, just me. She's like, but this is a place that is like running, like it's an active place. It's like a place where it's a famous place. Like people are known to live here. She's like, yet I don't see anything. She's like, I don't know how people are living here. I don't know how they can handle, or either nothing happens in their shit and it's only happening on mine, or they just don't see it, or I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Pretend they don't.
Yeah, or maybe they're a part of it. Who fucking knows? At this point, you don't even fucking know. She's like, all I know is that right now, more than ever, I feel like I need to be closer to God. And I hope that after I die, I don't have to spend not even a second of my afterlife with those things. She's like, I am moving this Saturday. She's like, I have enough people like helping me. We're gonna do it throughout the day. She's like, we're gonna try to do it as fast as we can.
Damn.
Because she's like, I'm not staying here anymore. I can't handle it anymore. She's like, there's I guess basically nothing that you can do.
Oh my god. She felt like she was gonna end up like that.
I guess, because like
maybe, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I feel like it would be perfectly understandable if a person would get to the point of like self harm. Because what else? Imagine if she didn't have the help of her friends or whatever, and then she just starts experiencing more shit, and she's like, or like something happens to her cats, or not only that, like the way she's describing that, the way that these things look, like, and for them to like be on the walls,
everywhere, all over. Fuck that.
I'm telling you, like the way she's fucking saying the story, like she's practically crying, and I was just like, me estaba cagando yo sola acá. I was just like, oh my god. So yeah, and the building is called La Casa de las Brujas. It was built in the 1900s. I don't know if hundreds or 1900. So it's an old ass fucking building. And
this is in Mexico.
Yeah. I mean, the building is fucking pretty. And they call it the Casa de las Brujas because of the way that the building looks.
Wow. Beautiful.
That bitch is haunted.
But haunted with fucking... with faces all over? Keep it. It's weird that she never saw people there, though.
I know.
Were they all ghosts?
Ooh. I mean, I'm not saying if a lot of the tenants are famous people, then maybe they won't be staying there 24/7. It was just a place to stay while they're working in town or something. Mm-hmm. That's what I would think. I don't think it'd be like a permanent thing.
Dang. That's crazy. So she ended up leaving to...
She's just like, I'm out.
Like,
I don't give a fuck where I have to go, but I just know that I'm not gonna fucking be here.
I am out of here. So that was it.
That was it. The only thing that why it freaks me out it because it's like the demonic shit. I grew up with people scaring me with the devil. Just like maybe it's not so bad, and they're like, but it's a reaction that I have. Just like devil,
yeah.
So and imagine like seeing depending on how they look, see it that. Sounds kind of badass, like a painting.
And the effects and everything. Mm-hmm. And the crazy thing about your story is, okay, so you said there was that lady, right? Mm-hmm. Where she does like witchcraft or like spells or rituals and stuff like that, like all over for like famous people or whatever, like has to do with, right? So it's so crazy because I was like, when you said that, I'm like, this sounds like the story that I'm about to bring up.
Zachary the satanic high wizard.
So this story is gonna be okay. So this story is about a guy. This guy is Zachary King, and he's a former Satanist. Yeah. So this story is pretty
Intense.
yeah, intense.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you can't take the intensity that it's gonna bring, you're gonna have to forward a little.
Oh, I thought you were telling me. I thought you were
Oh,
gonna
yeah. Well, I'm
suck it up. I was like,
Okay, so he starts with it's gonna be like me talking about it and then him telling the story at the same time.
okay.
Okay, so it was the very first day of the 5th grade, right? And there was a kid that went up to him and he said, meet me in the bathroom at the first break. And he's like, okay. He doesn't know any better, so right. So he walks into the bathroom and there's about 49 kids in there, boys and girls. Yeah. And they're just like waiting there, right? And then they tell him that they're going to turn the lights off and we're going to chant a phrase into the mirror 11 times. And if they do it correctly, that like a face will pop up. I don't know if it's like a body or with the face or just the face, but it's like a burn victim.
Mm.
Right?
So you started Long Beach this, Long Beach that, and boom, Natalie popped up. Long Beach this.
OMG.
Sorry.
Okay, right? So they're all in the dark room because they turned the lights off, right? They start chanting the chant
phrase.
or whatever.
Yeah, the chant.
Okay. And then the mirrors start flickering like there's lights, right? And the face is there on the mirror. And it's none of the kids, it's a face of the burn victim. Like the lip was like melting down. The top lip was like melting down to the bottom lip. Everybody started running out, screaming, started running. And he stayed.
Bitches.
Zach, right? That's what he said, right? He stayed there. And he was thinking to himself, like, he's like, I did this. He made a person appear in the mirror.
Okay,
like,
Houdini.
Right? He's like, ooh, like I'm some type
He
of.
felt it. He's like,
Yeah.
I can do it, baby.
Yeah.
I am the one.
He's like, I'm the 4th. Now let's start this. Okay.
Let's call the tower station.
Right. Okay, so that demon is there standing next to him, right? The kids are running out, right? They're yelling at what you call. Well, apparently, some of the kids got hurt. They had like broken bones, broken.
Oh,
like,
what the
yeah,
fuck?
like broken hands, broken legs, stuff like that. So they sent notes home.
Your little satanic kid was
Right.
summoning spirits in the restroom, thinking they're fucking Hermione and shit.
For real, fucking Harry Potter. So Zach took the note to his dad, and Zach's dad was a former Marine. No, a former what is it called? Oh yeah, he was a former Marine, a former sniper in the Marines. Yeah. So he wasn't like.
No estaba bueno el vato.
Not like, no, not really that. It's just he was more of a manly man, like not so much emotion. Like he doesn't really, show so much love or whatever.
Okay.
He's like that type of guy.
So no está bueno el vato.
So usually if Zach brings a note home, like the dad will just, sign it and brush it off, like, whatever. Well, this time he was like in the dining area, like reading the newspaper. Like he decided when what's his name gave him the note, he's gonna read that too. It says that, like, that they were in there, kids got hurt, all that. So he's like a loving type voice. Like, did you do this? Have you been playing this game? And he says no, right? Because he's fucking terrified of this. So if you okay, after they sent the note, after all the kids got in trouble and all this stuff, right? If you did this, they would suspend you, right? So everybody, well, some people apparently stopped. He said he would do it. If he would do it at school, it would only be one. But he started doing it at home by himself because he liked that feeling
That
of
he was
bringing
able to summon.
Yeah, that he was able to summon somebody. So he started doing it at home, and he said he would do it at least 10 times before going to school in the morning. Yeah, at least 10 times. And then, since his parents both worked afternoon shift, they wouldn't come home until nighttime, till late. So when he would get home from school, he would do it another time. So it would be like from 45 to 50 times or 60 times a day. Yeah.
Get a hobby.
Because he was so
If I would have been that day, I'd be like, what?
Right?
What the fuck do you want? Leave me alone, damn it.
For real. Yeah, he started playing it every day. Oh, so you know how the face is of the melted person, it's not like a regular face.
Yeah.
So what's his name feels like he's not scared of this face. Like you would think because everybody's scared of it, but his ass is, bringing it fucking 60 times a day. He wasn't scared of it because he felt like maybe this person was maybe this happened to this person. Maybe it was like he was born with it, right? So he was like, whatever. Like he can't control it. So the whole time he doesn't even realize I'm, summoning a demon. He thinks he's just summoning a person like
a regular.
That has and he feels bad for that person. Yeah, so it's like, whoa. But the thing never talked to him. I never talked to him. I just would, and it was the same face every time, right? And he just got the feeling that he was like his friend type thing. It couldn't be me. He was interested in magic from a young age, right? But it started to become more and more intense when he started doing other spells. Instead of just summoning the whatchamacallit, he started doing his own spells, right? He would play D&D. Do you know what D&D is?
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
Okay, so he would play with a bunch of older teenager and another kid that was like his age, right? And he was always the wizard or the sorcerer in that. And he said that he started noticing that his magic spells would work every single time in the game. So he figured oh, okay, well, if they're always working, in the game, let me try it out here. So he started, Okay, so the first time that he tries the magic spell, after knowing that he does, so good in the game, he's like, if he does the magic spell, and if it works, then, he'll keep doing magic, right? And if it doesn't, then he'll leave it alone. So they have spells in the D&D books and the TSB gaming books. And I don't know who Gary Gygax or Gygax. He's one of the founders of the game. He went to a Satanist and asked for real spells. So that way it would be more authentic.
Realistic, yeah.
Yeah. So in the game there's real spells. Okay, so there's a spell a money spell, right? And so he did that. That was the first spell that he did to to see if he can actually if it'll actually work in real life. So he did the spell, and the next day he went out to play. He found a can, right, of tennis balls, and he opened it, and there was 3 new tennis balls, but there was also a $5 bill. So after doing that spell, the next day he found that thing. Okay, and then he went over there and bought some fucking candy, comic books, and whatever the fuck.
With $5?
Well, because it was 1976.
Oh shit! Yeah. I was gonna say, the fuck?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So he was like, okay, maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe not. If it's a coincidence, I'm going to try it again to see if it is.
Just to see what's up.
Yeah. Right. So He did it again the next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day after he did it, he went out and he found a $10 bill on the side of the road after doing the spell. Mm-hmm.
So like, what's the
So
smell?
maybe not, right?
That's like, what's the smell?
And so he conjures the face again to tell him, like that he did the money spell and
That it's working.
yeah, that it's working. Yeah, besties, right? And then the next day he went out to play at US Sugar in a big unpaved parking lot. And he said something caught his eye. It was like a shiny type thing. And he was like, when he got to the area, there was nothing bright or shiny there, but that there was something that looked like Monopoly money rolled up with rubber bands.
Mm-hmm.
So he put it in his pocket and then he went back to go play. And eventually, later that night, he was before he went to bed, he opened up the whatchamacallit, and he said that it was $1,000 bills. So he had $1,000
What the
after
fuck?
doing that. Yeah, after doing this spell. Mm-hmm. So he was like thinking,
this is really working.
Yeah, I got magic and I know how to fucking do it.
I got the magic.
I got the magic. So he's thinking like, dude, if I do this every day, I can fucking get a Lambo. Like, I can be a millionaire if I keep doing this for
forever and
every
ever,
day.
amen.
Yeah. So he would always do it. He would do it every day, and then he didn't get the amount that he got that time anymore, but he would get at least up to $20, every day. So that's fucking still, and then at that time, so it's like, but it was like,
just to get a fucking dream.
right. But it was like kind of like a tease, like if you keep doing it, like to keep doing it, because it's like you're not gonna stop if you, right? Well, a year after that, he got by a teacher.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's when things went, to a different level. He was in math class. He says, so I got in there. I really had to pee really bad. So I put my hand up, a teacher calls on me and I say, can I go to the bathroom? You had 3 minutes in between classes. Why didn't you go then? 3 minutes isn't enough for me because he has to go from PE all the way to the, to the inside of the which he still has to get his books and everything from his lockers. So he doesn't have time. So he's like, I didn't have time to make it.
I don't fucking 3 minutes.
Right?
The fuck?
Like, what the hell? And then if he does that, you're gonna give him detention for fucking being late. So, So she's like, whatever, gives him the pass, tells him not to be dilly-dallying in there. Don't be messing around in the fucking bathroom. Just do it and come back, right?
I don't trust no motherfucker that says dilly-dally.
Period. So he walks down the end of the hallway, and he goes to the bathroom. Now I'm going back to when I enter the bathroom, there's a noise in there. It sounds like somebody's breathing hard in the stalls. But he looks under all the stalls. There's no feet. There's nothing. He checks the first stall, next stall, and until he gets to the last one. Okay, so the last one, there's a lady teacher in there, and she's like has, everything all out, messing with herself.
What the
yeah.
fuck?
And so she like tells him to go inside and lock the door,
and
that's when that happens.
Oh my god.
And he's like, he's not even looking at girls right there, at that time.
How old was, not that it's okay, but like, because like
it had to be 6th grade, I think, because at the beginning he was in 5th grade. So
oh shit, I'm thinking all of this is happening whenever he's like in high school. What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh, I think he was what, 12, 13? Yeah, like 12, 13 or something like that. Yeah. So that happens. Everything is like done. She essays him. And then whenever it's done, it's like she told him that it was his idea. She was like, this is your idea. And she's like, and you liked it, and if you go and tell somebody, you're gonna get arrested. Yeah, and then they were gonna that his parents would disown him and that he would be arrested. Yeah. So he was like, okay, then you know what? I'm just gonna keep it a secret. Right? I'm not gonna tell nobody. So then I walked back to the classroom. My teacher saying, you must have had diarrhea to be gone that long, you know, and like makes fun of him in front of fucking everybody. And he hasn't even fucking peed because he went there and that happened. So he's still got to pee. And he's in there fucking, got to deal with that. And he can't go now because, whatchamacallit's over there fucking making fun of him. Oh, he says that she made a comment. She says, I hope you had fun in the bathroom. So that little comment like made him feel like, does she know what's going on? Like, is this like, something that y'all know what's going on?
Their
thing there at the school. So he was like, he didn't trust going into bathrooms after that. Like he didn't want to. So he would hold it through the whole day, and he wouldn't even want to, because he would have to walk home. So he wouldn't even want to like stop anywhere to use the bathroom because he felt like she was probably going to be in there.
Oh my god, he had PTSD.
Yeah. So one time he says, so I walked home. He peed his pants on the way home and then got, put his clothes in a hamper to take a bath. And he said he had to shower in the hottest, like, water because he felt so fucking nasty. Like, yeah. And he was doing that every day. Every fucking day, peeing on himself and fucking going home and doing that. Going home, taking a shower, going home. For about 3 weeks. He said he even thought about drinking bleach because he wanted to clean himself from the inside out. That's how dirty he felt. He said that the one thing that made him feel better was the magic and like, being able to do all that. So he felt on top of the world and like nothing could defeat him. Okay, so he dove deeper into whatchamacallits. He had a lot of books on magic, In the library he would read all these whatchamacallits to be, what is it? Practicing.
Yeah.
So the 10-year-old, remember the one that would play with him, or not the same-year-old that would play with him in the D&D?
Yeah.
Okay, so after a while, he was gone, right? He stopped going to school, he stopped going to church, stopped playing the game and everything, So Zach thought that he moved away or whatever, but the next year he came back and he was like, oh no, I was just homeschooled. My parents took me out, put me in a different church, and he got new friends or whatever. So Zach was like, shit, hold on. Oh, Zach was like, I guess wanting to hang out with them because his new friends played D&D, right? So he was like, okay, well, let me check them out, so that way he can go play because they all liked magic. Okay, so these friends that the kid introduced him to, they had like this place, right? So it's like all these people, and at this place he got to do everything that he wanted to. Like if he wanted a burger, or if he wanted, to play this or do that, like he got it at this place. So like he fucking loved it there, right?
At this church place, or
well, it wasn't a church place. It was just a place where that younger kid, where they would play D&D, he took them to go. Like, okay, so right here it kind of gets a little bad. This is where it's like the worst.
Okay.
Yeah, it's about to get dark up in here with these people. Okay, so yeah, it gets a little crazy right here. But so they take him to this place, right, where he, gets to do everything. Well, he said that at his house you could watch G-rated movies, or PG-rated movies. Okay, and at this place he could watch, rated R movies, X-rated movies, and that there was like triple X-rated movies with like kids his age.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. He said, and they told me that what happened to him, at the whatchamacallit, that it's sad and terrible and should never happen to anybody, but that now he can get his power back. So basically by that, he can decide whoever he wants to have sex with instead of, like that lady making him do it. So that would be getting his power back.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, what's her name on fucking... I was just watching what's her name go crazy, Darcy. Acting like a fool. I'm like, what are you doing?
Fucking Darcy.
You know, they tell him, you know, if he wants to do it with anybody he can, then, you know. So that's the type of place that is over there. You know?
Okay.
And then they go on and tell him that they can make him famous. They can put him in movies. You know, people from all over the world will write to you and want to see you perform.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So he was like, you know, happy about that. Like, who wouldn't want that, you know? Well, some people. You know, so he said yes, like that he would love to do that. And they showed him a bunch of movies, a bunch of like videos and still photos and stuff, and they were all of other naked kids. Yeah, so it was like a lot of child. Yeah, it was messed up. From 3-year-olds to 15-year-olds. Yeah, most of them being from 8 to 12. And he said that at that time, because you know he's that age or whatever, he's their age, so it looks fun to him.
Yeah.
You know, so they introduce him to 3 girls that are sisters. One's 8, one's 11, and one's 14.
Mm-hmm.
So he's 12 years old at this time, and these girls, they're gonna teach him like how to have sex, because he doesn't know anything. You know, he just had that one experience with that damn animal. So they wanted him to learn with the youngest, which was the 8-year-old, you know, and go on to the next after. Okay, so they're like the teachers or whatever. He says that when he went to this place, they had like a lot of technology and stuff that he couldn't do at his house. So he was like, he loved living. I mean, he loved being over there because of all this shit that he could do. You know, he didn't have an idea like that it was like a bad place. So he just felt like it was a good place, and he kind of felt like that these people were the good people and that his dad was the bad person, because the dad
The way
was
they
like
were
a strict
grooming
person.
them and
Yeah, and they were like, yeah. So anything he wanted, he had, you know, with them, and he fucking loved that about it. He's doing this with these 3 girls, right? And so they're obviously involved in these little videos or whatever, and the mom's apparently involved, because whenever he was with the second girl, he said that she was teaching him or whatever, you know. So they were in that moment doing that, and then the back door opens. He said that that back door is where the mom always walks in.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously he got scared. No, she was knocking.
Yeah.
And you know, he got scared, and she was like, "Don't open the door," like.
Yeah.
But she like the girl got up and, you know, like nonchalant, and went and opened the door. And the mom walks in, right? And she's like, "Oh, it's okay," you know, like. And he's like, "What the fuck?" Like, thinking that she was gonna fucking go off, gonna fucking kill him. But you know, she was like, she speaks to the daughter, right? And then she starts talking to Zach, and then she invites him to supper. She was like asking the daughter if he's learning good. It's like, what the fuck? Yeah. And that he was like, "You're not mad?" She's like, "No, this is their job. They know what to do. They're supposed to be good at it. They're supposed to be good trainers."
What
the? Yeah. Fucking crazy. Their own mother. Then the mom apparently asks, well, she calls his dad, Zach's dad, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Can Zach stay over with my son?" Zach didn't even like ask that or whatever, but he's like, whatever. And he's like, "I don't even, you know, talk to your son. Like, why would I?" And then she hangs up the phone or whatever, and she's like, "No, well, you can stay with one of the girls. You can stay with any of the girls." I'm like, dude, this, yeah. And this, okay, so they were all making, you know, little movies or whatever. And he said that they all had fake names. His name was Tommy. And he said that people would write in, and they would write in letters, and he said that a lot of the letters were written in crayon on paper. that you would use in the first grade. So you would get this first grade paper that was, a message written in crayon, thinking that it's like a kid, like being a fan, saying like, I fucking, I love this, I love that, and like even wanting them to, like picking and choosing, like who they wanted to be in the movie. So they would be like, oh, I want to see Tommy with a little bit, or a little girl, like this, certain girl. And, they were thinking like, ooh, I get to be in this movie. Like, they want me to star in the whatchamacallit.
Fuck.
Yeah, so that's their mind. His mindset was like, so, okay, so it made him feel good and made him feel like they had fans, right? It never occurred to them that they were like adults watching these videos and writing these letters. Yeah, like, oh, can you say that word?
I don't think so.
What do you say? Rat bastards.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were the fucking animals watching the movies, right? Pretending to be kids, writing in requests, right? And some of them wanted pictures. Some of them wanted like naked pictures of the whatchamacallits with an autograph, and so they're like doing it like signing,
Like
thinking that it's
fucking normal.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And, not realizing what the fuck was really going on, because they're thinking I'm famous, But he said that he didn't realize that they were adults until he was in his 20s. Yeah. It took him all that time. He was, since 13, 12, since 12. Okay, so he said that whenever he was 12, that a kid had kind of like ran by him and was like, you're in a satanic cult. And that he just took off running. He just said that and then just took off running. So he kind of already was, like, but he didn't believe it. Because, he didn't know this kid, like, he wasn't thinking anything like that, because these people were, like, showing him, or giving him, like, everything he wanted, doing good, things for him as he saw. So he wasn't thinking, like, these people ain't bad. These are, like, the fucking good guys. He says, well, it kind of hit after, like, 2 weeks. I was thinking on the comment every day, like, could he be telling me the truth? He says that he went up to one of the members, right, that he trusted, right, an adult, and he says that he has something to tell him. I said, I heard this was a satanic coven. Crazy, right? And he was like thinking that he was gonna like laugh or say go play or whatever, and that it's not a satanic. But he says, yeah, that it is. He's like that his stomach just dropped. And he was like, am I a member? He's like, no, but would you want to be?
Do you want to be?
Yeah. So, and this is like somebody that he trusted. So this is the place like that he liked being. He got all his drugs there. He got to have sex there with everything. Everything that he wanted. He's famous because that's what he thinks. So he's like, why not? Okay, so I said yes, I did want to become a member, and then his face like got lit up with excitement, right? The other guy, because he knew that he kind of knew that he would say yes because of all the shit that he was already involved with. So he was like, he's gonna fucking, because why would he give that up? Okay, so he says that there's 13 steps to becoming a Satanist, and he's basically already done everything. Zach. The only thing left that he has to do is bleed on 3 pages and sign it with your blood. Okay. The blood of Jesus washes away all sin, but not his. Okay, so that's, I guess, the words that is written in the thing. It says the blood of Jesus washes away all the sin, but not mine. And I sign his name. Yep. And I sign my name to that. Jesus died for everyone, but not me. And I sign my name to that. And on the final page of a 5-page document, I agree to sell my soul to the devil. Okay. Okay.
Are you okay?
So you have to renounce Jesus is the main whatchamacallit, right? So he says that there's 3 robes. Okay. He says that robes are something that there's a white robe. The white robe is for the innocent person. the brand new person that's coming in,
Okay.
and then they baptize you in it, and they baptize you full submersive in a big like a demon skull type bath thingy.
Tub?
Yeah, like something like that. And then you get baptized in that, and it's human blood, pig's blood, human urine. They pull you out of that, and you go into another room and you take a shower. And when you're in there, you get changed into a black robe with red inverted pentagram, and you come out with the cowl raised up, and it signifies that you've been baptized into a world of darkness. So then they read the document off the thing that you signed the night before.
Mm-hmm.
They show your signature, and you also pull off the band-aid from the slit on your thumb, just to show that it's yours. They gave him a wheel, he says, and it has a crucifix in the middle, and you can spin it. He says you can spin it upside down, signifying human sacrifice. Mm-hmm. And then you grab the arms of Jesus and break them downward, denouncing Christ. I guess so. This is all within that little ritual thing, right? And then you have to have an orgy to celebrate that you're now a Satanist. He says that the reality is you're celebrating that one day you're going to go to hell. You're going to die and go to hell, right? And then they tell you that this document is going to be forever entwined with the wheel in a vault, and your soul is going to be attached to this. And when you die, that Satan will come and claim your soul. And then, okay, so he says, and when I officially came into the coven, everybody there practiced magic. They shared a book called the Book of Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
And the Book of Shadows is a personal book where you write all your spells. Like everybody has one, so everybody can have kind of like the same spell, like what they're going for, but it might be different. So they would share it because maybe they liked yours more than they liked the other one. So everybody would help each other, right? So he would incorporate some of their magic with his and whatnot, and they gave him the red robe. And the red robe is for mage. It's the official person that does the magic for the coven. And anybody in the coven that is allowed to practice magic can do whatchamacallit, but it's gonna be up to that one to like really,
Yeah.
Okay, so he says, when I was 14 years old, it was announced that we were going to all male members, 12 to 15, were going to sleep with a female member that was 19, and that this was her second pregnancy. She was what was called a breeder. She's like, a breeder is she intentionally gets pregnant so that she can have an abortion. Okay, so then he went home to look up abortion because he didn't know what the hell abortion was. He just heard of it because he's a kid. So he goes back to his coven and asks them what it was. They tell him. He says, in their coven, we have everything from the simplest of spells to the most complex, which is an axe. Axe is the most complex, right? He says that if you're going to do an axe, you need an abortion. Yeah, if you do the worst, then you have to do that, right? Because it's like killing a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're willing to pay big money, you need a guaranteed process. So that would be. So they had originally told him that it was a lump of cells. So that they're going to scrape out some cells and they're going to vacuum it up with a little vacuum, right? And he's not going to see anything. So for him to do the hex, he needed to get blood on his hands from grabbing the whatchamacallit from inside the mother. Well, he did that for 9 months. And he was like, what's the goal here? And he had asked the girl. And she said that we have as many abortions as our body can handle. And the more abortions we can do, the higher position we get in the end. And that's what it's all about, money and power. He says that he performed 15, but eventually he went out to college. So he was on his own, and he was like, kind of looking for another one. But you can't just find fucking whatchamacallit.
It's not just gonna pop up.
Yeah. He says that in his town that there was two satanic companies. One had like bad people. Well, it was his, and then another one.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to be a part of the other one because he thought that they were the bad ones.
Not knowing that
both of them are fucked. Yeah. So, but you know, he was a kid. So he's new in the city, like where he moves or whatever. And he's like thinking how's he gonna find a new coven. And he's like he knew swingers magazines, like that. I guess they had like stuff in the back or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and that it had classified ads where satanic covens advertised like inside the ads. So he says, but I found it instead because they advertised it in town square.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so his school had a student union, and they had like a Baptist and Catholic student union, and then they had like a Republican and Democrat student union, and then there was a Wiccan and Satanic student union. So he went to the Satanic one. They had a meeting one day, and he went, and he was like that. There was like a bunch of kids from his school, right? And what they were thinking was like a satanic whatchamacallit covenant was them taking drugs, getting drunk, and like having sex. But just that. Like they would try magic, but it wouldn't work. And they were just like, yeah, whatever, you know. And he says that there's probably about 10,000 different covens, right? And there's still like a coven for everything. There's covens out there for incest. There's covens out there for human trafficking, drug covens, like all that shit. Yeah. And the very basic is like atheists, and that there's a coven called the Joy of Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the top 5 biggest covens in the world, right? And the Joy of Satan, they believe in God and they believe in the devil, but that they believe that God is the bad guy and that Satan is the good guy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you know, the opposite. Oh, so these kids, they're that were pretending to be whatchamacallit, they were like, we're not really Satanists.
Yeah.
You know, while he was looking at the coven, this guy talked about going to the Bohemian Grove, right? And he said, and so I tried to find other books about like the Bohemian Grove, and I couldn't find anything really. There was like stuff referenced to the Bohemian Grove, but there was really nothing he could find. Like he couldn't find real evidence or anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So he found like a random person here or there that would, you know, but nothing else. So
just whispers.
Just little talks. And then he started looking at Illuminati, right? Looking into Illuminati to see if that's real. And he found a lot of references on that, but nothing really ever on that either. He says, my first coven had been a OTO coven. He says, I'm looking for a coven that right now that might know something about Bohemian Grove, might know something about the Illuminati. They told me that there was a coven called World Church of Satan, or Satan's World Church. So they gave him the phone number to this church, right? And he called the number, and it was a voicemail message. He was like, should I leave it?
He got the number, and he called the number. And he got a voicemail.
I'm getting hungry. He left a message with his name, his phone number, and that his coven had, you know, put him in contact with him. Mm-hmm. And then a few days later, they called him back, and they told him to bring his ID and that there was going to be a party. So come prepared for whatever, because he's going to have to park like far away from there or whatever. Mm-hmm. Party starts at 9, you know. So he had to drive 2 miles away from the whatchamacallit, then walk back over there to the party. They asked for his name, they asked for his ID. And then he walks in a maze of black curtains, right? And after he gets in the black curtains, the whatchamacallit opens up, and there's like 10,000 people in this one little room. There's like tables of like cocaine, there's tables of drugs, there's tables of food, there's tables of like whatever. And he was 13 years old.
Damn, again. So all of this is happening when he's 13.
13 years old.
See, I'm thinking he's like in
Older.
college age, like 18, 19, 20.
I mean, he goes through all that through all those years, but yeah.
But right now he's like 13 and he's going to that party.
Oh no! Now he's already out of school. Remember he started going to college and then.
Oh, okay. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So now at the party he's already 18.
Oh, okay. See, I was thinking all of this is happening when he's 13.
Oh, he's still
like,
nah.
what the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So he went to the party, right? So he sees this like person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he strikes up the conversation with this guy, right? And then he brings it back to a little moment in time where he was 13 years old and he was at a sleepover, right? He says, I got up at about 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom and get a drink of water. And then he saw this guy walking through the house. Never seen him, didn't know who he was. But he was wearing a tuxedo, a top hat, and had a wand in his hand. And a corpse paint on his face. Yeah. So he was like, what the hell? And he looks at me, sees me, winks at me, and keeps going. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So then I go to the bathroom and get my water, go back to bed. The next day, I approached somebody and said, hey, I saw this guy here last night, tuxedo, paint on his face. Who was he? Like, he looked like a member from Kiss wearing a tuxedo. And they were like, was he a dream that you had? Because there was
nobody here
there,
looked like
that. So they were like, no, So he thinks that they're lying to him, right? And he's like, no problem. I'll just lock that away somewhere, And one day I'll find out who that was. So at this party that he just went to, now that he's 18 years old, he sees a similar guy. Not the same one, but a similar one walks past him. So he's like, I grabbed this guy and I was like, who is that? Like, who's that person? And how can I do that? He was like, well, who ran your coven? I said I had a huge coven, 125 to 150 members, and it was ran by 13 high priests and priestesses. And he says, well, we have 1.1 million members worldwide. 1.1 million of those motherfuckers. Worldwide. And we're run by a CEO and board of directors. And the High Wizard does the official magic. That was the High Wizard. The top hat, yeah. So he was like, so I knew that I had to get tied up in with the High Wizards. I know that abortion is what the devil wants. So I know abortion is what the devil will get the devil's attention. Okay. So I decided that I was going to get tied up in with the abortion group, let them know that I used to do them with my previous coven and start getting in with them and doing as many as I can. So I managed to do about 5 or 6 of them over the next few years, like 2 or 3 years. And then I got to talk to somebody with some of the High Wizards. And I told them that I wanted to be a High Wizard. And then they asked him, like, why do you want to be? And I said, well, I've been practicing magic since I was 10. And I verified that I worked at 10. And then I joined the Satanic Coven and became the mage, which is the one that, does the magic for their coven. And I said I saw a High Wizard when I was 13 years old, but I didn't know that that's what I was looking at. And since I figured out that that's what you are, I would love to do your job because I hear you guys practice magic all the time and I love magic. I'm good at it. I'm obsessed with it. And, he goes and he says, like, you have to be 90%, like at least 90% accurate on your, those skills to become a High Wizard. So one day he gets a letter from the board of directors of the World Church of Satan, which is the church that he went to the big party for, right? Okay, so he gets the letter in the mail, but it's like kind of skeptical for him because it's like sometimes you get this letter because you did something wrong. So either you brought shame or you brought like a scrutinizing eye over the ministry, and they didn't want none of that. So sometimes people would show up and they were never seen again. Yeah, to those
Oh shit.
things. So he didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen. Okay, so he gets this letter in the mail, postcard, actually, he said, and if this isn't good news, like he was thinking, so he went to his local gun store, and this is in Florida. There was a 2-week cooling off period to buy a gun, so you couldn't get that gun until. So that was exactly the time that was gonna come up whenever that meeting was in. So it was perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. So he picked out a 9mm and 6 hours and about 10 additional clips and about 200 rounds of ammo and a clip belt. So he shows up for the meeting because he doesn't know like what's going on or if it's gonna be a fucking good meeting or bad. But he takes it to the fucking thing.
He's like, but I'm packing.
Yeah. And they sent him down to the entire board of directors, but they're not there. The CEO was there, and he says, "We're talking." And he says, basically in a nutshell, Satan has chosen you to be the next high wizard. And his heart dropped because he was like, that's what he fucking wanted, He said that he asked them why and that they just brushed over it. They didn't tell him why. They just told him. And they gave him this light blue book, and it was called the High Wizard Handbook. And they said that Satan has to handpick you to be one of these 10, because I guess there's only 10 of the high wizards. So he was chosen by him. He was chosen by the devil. And he says, from what I understand, on the terms of this planet, there are 10 most powerful people on the earth, pretty much the high wizards, magically speaking. And they're sought off by everybody from actors, rock stars, kings, queens, presidents, diplomats, everybody, which, you had just said that earlier. I was like, what the but yeah, so everybody hires them to do their fucking dirty work, apparently. Okay, so he becomes the high wizard, right? And that's when he gets into the Illuminati and the Bohemian Grove. And the Bilderberg group,
Build-A-Bear. What?
Bilderberg, I don't know what that is, but he says, my first month, I was chosen almost on my 21st birthday, and it was a few days later I found myself in Bohemian Grove. Now, when I heard I was going, I was thinking, I wonder if they're gonna take me to a bar that's called the Bohemian Grove. Like, is it a real place? I have no idea. I ended up in the plain lands of California. Then we landed in San Francisco. Then we went to Monterey, and it's like 2,600 acres of redwood trees, right? So he takes his makeup artist, and it's a female makeup artist, and some of the wait staff are females too, and they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement because no females are allowed in Bohemian Grove. That's what he said. She does his makeup or whatever and helps him put his costume on or whatever. And it's going to be his first job. His first job as High Wizard was to go to Bohemian Grove. I thought his first job was... Okay, so his first job was to go there, right? And I stepped out the door, walked about 10 feet. Some guy came up to me and shook my hand, welcomed me to the Grove, and said he's been waiting for me. So while I was there, I met with the Illuminati. Now they have a Mr. Black and a Mr. White. The first time you meet them, it's nothing special. But the next time you meet them, the Mr. Black and the Mr. White are totally different. They're not the same Mr. Black and Mr. White. But every time you meet them, so it's not just the second time, it's every time you meet them, they change. So it's never the same, right? But let's say you met one of them today, and 2 weeks from now you met with 2 different ones, right? 3 weeks from then you met with another one, and so on and so forth. And you want to talk about like something that you talked to the first one about, like had that conversation, and they can like bring it up like as if they were the ones. So he didn't know like if they were recording or how the fuck they were doing it, but they were, you know, remembering.
What the fuck?
So yeah, or they could have been, you know, what is it when you change skin?
Robot.
Or that shit. But yeah, so everything was like the same that they could remember. Okay, so he says he got to travel the world, he got to work with the Illuminati, he got to party with rock stars, you know. But after a certain time doing that, he was just thinking like it's boring, like it's not fun anymore, because he was always busy, he was always flying somewhere, and there's only 10 of them, and they have to like fucking be. He says that apparently a lot of fucking people like book them. Yeah. He says so the Illuminati. So the Illuminati is like, in a sense, their own satanic coven. He says, but there's not enough people in the Illuminati to run the world, so they need foot soldiers, and the foot soldiers they use satanic covens and Freemasons to change the way their structure was so that their hierarchy is set up like Freemasonry, right? They'll almost literally pull the levers and push the buttons in every political action that happens like in the first world countries. Mm-hmm. And when they promise things, they can deliver, he says. You know, so they have their hand in so many sinister shit, because he says it's not just the government. It's every rock star, every famous person like that's been on the radio, every person that you know, and even people that you don't think would be on, they're in it. And this is his words, not mine, because I don't, you know, I love this person. Just kidding. But he says, you know, when Taylor Swift came out, I told people she's gonna go the same route as Miley Cyrus and Britney Spears. And you're like, oh, no, she's not. You know, she's a nice person. She's a Christian girl, you know. Everybody loves her. And I was like, well, luckily for you, she's so young right now that by the time she goes off the rails, maybe your children won't like her anymore. Because it's going to be probably 10 years from now. But I'm telling you, she's going to go that route. And, you know, everybody's saying no. Taylor Swift's not going to do that. But apparently, he says that Taylor Swift admits that she does magic. He says that it's in her videos. I don't know. But, okay. So he had to bring tea in. I had to disagree with that. But yeah, so he's doing all this stuff, you know, learning all these spells and everything. And he says that we can give you everything from a frozen glass of water in the freezer to the evil eye. It's more complex, like to potions and chants and incantations, all the way up to abortion, which is an axe. Remember, we spoke about that earlier. Okay, so the different levels of spells that a wizard or a high wizard can do. The high one, which is the most expensive, and then the most likely to work, is a hex, and that requires an abortion. I said axe. Why did I say axe? Okay, so when you're doing magic, basically what you're doing is running the Satan and attaching a demon to somebody, right? Let's say I send a demon to somebody, and now a single curse is, as it implies. The demon goes on, and if the person's in a state of grace, the demon can't do the spell. Mm-hmm. So, say the person's in a state of grace, the demon has to leave because he can't. It won't work because he's in a state of grace. He has to be in like a state of like doing. I want to do something bad, like in a bad type of mode, like because then the thing can attach to you, the demon.
Like in a depression?
Yeah, like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that thing, right? There's that spell. And if that's just like a normal spell, like the cheapest spell, mm-hmm. right? And then if you get a, whatchamacallit, say you do a tri-curse, the demon goes 3 times to this thing, to this person. And he does it for 3 times a week in 2 weeks.
What the fuck?
And he does it all 3 times, right? And that if the person's in a state of grace, it still doesn't work. But if it's a hex with the abortion, like, so the demon goes to that person and he'll see that he's in the state of grace, but this demon, since you did the abortion, he's going to wait there until he has the chance. The other ones would leave because it's like, you didn't pay enough. But now that you did this, you're going to get your whatchamacallit. Yeah. So basically killing, doing an abortion is a for sure guarantee that you're going to get your wish, basically your wish, or that your spell will work. You literally pray to Satan to send a demon to that specific person. So there was an example of like a car dealership, right, where this person wants to buy a car dealership, and the car dealership says no. Keep saying no. In the story, if you buy the hex, then the demon will be able to influence him into selling the whatchamacallit, right? So in that instance of that whole story, the hex was done, and the owner of the high-end dealership, he ended up dying because the thing, he did the abortion, and that's how
they were going to take him out.
Yeah. So he ended up dying, and then the thing went to his wife, and they said, hey, we've been trying to buy this dealership, would you sell it to us? And she says, I don't have any reason to keep it, So because she already made a lot of money from just inheriting his, his whatchamacallit.
Damn.
So yeah, so she's like, I'm rich, my husband's dead, And she asked how much did they offer. They said they offered 10 million, and she's like, oh well, you can have it for 5. Yeah, but he says he can't make the person die, but the demon can. And he says the demon has to tell Satan, and that Satan needs to get God's permission, and that if God says yes, then the person dies. So I don't. Okay, so he says that he performed 149 abortions.
Hold on. This just opens a whole fucking can of worms. Because what are the people outside the abortion clinic saying?
Okay, well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that in a little bit.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say, like, if this person has to say yes.
Wait, what do you mean?
In order for the person to die or to whatever the fuck, right?
Oh, the abortion? Or what?
I mean, I'm guessing any sacrifice.
Oh!
Or who's the one that they put the hex on is the one that God has to be died. Like, yeah, he can die.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay.
He says that he's performed already about 149 abortions, but only 146 were successful. 3 of them failed. Okay, so...
Meaning?
So one of the scenarios for one of them that failed is he arrives at an abortion mill, and the abortion mill is 2 stories, and all the abortions take place on the 2nd floor. On the 1st floor, on our side, is a satanic biker gang, and they're standing they're flickering cigarettes across the street. But there's a group of females and males on the other side of the whatchamacallit, and then there's a biker gang on their side where the abortion's taking place. And they're throwing shit at them, flicking cigarettes at them, mooning them, and at these people that are across the street. And they're cussing them out, and those people don't seem phased or nothing. They're just doing what they're doing no matter what, right? Okay, so he gets there in a limo in his uniform. He goes inside. They tell me what's going on, send me upstairs, and goes upstairs and goes to the room and gets everything set up, right? He has an altar, and it's out of view from people, so that way they don't fucking know what's going on and fucking get scooped. This person that he's going to, she's a breeder, so she already knows what's going on. She already had 9 abortions, and she knows what time it is, she said.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she knows that it's all Satanists that are going to be in there, and
she knows what's up. Like,
yeah.
She's in.
Yeah. So we go in there. I'm dressed as the High Wizard. I put on a surgical mask and gloves, and we're getting ready for this abortion to take place. And I'm in there. I have a handler. A handler is a person who gets your sin. So if you like weed, you like cocaine, you like, this is the person to go to, and he travels with him everywhere, right? So we hear the people across the street start chanting, and we walk over to the window, and it's the people that were getting shit thrown at them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically like praying. So they're like, whatever, close the door, close the window. So they walk back over to the woman, and she's like, so it's him and the abortion doctor and the abortion nurse. All I've got to do is get blood on my hands. We're totally ready to start. The doctor starts to check the woman, and he says, "You're not dilated." And she's like, "What?" He goes, "You're not dilated. This abortion is not happening right now because you have to be dilated." And he was like, "This is like at least a 6 hours away. Wait, probably tomorrow. Might be tonight." So he turns over to Zach and he's like, "Well, what are you gonna do? What are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm flying. I'm flying out in a few hours. I can't come back in a few days." And he's like, "Well, we're gonna do it tomorrow. Can you do it?" "I'm not gonna be here tomorrow. I gotta go, and I got other stuff to do, right?" And so she's like, "Excuse me," and I'm like, "Yes." And she's like, "Is this your first rodeo too?" And he's like, "No, I've done this quite a bit." And she said, "Well, the baby's in the birth canal. You might want to go ahead and start." And I was like, "He says you're not dilated. I don't know what that means, but I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good." And so he's like, "And so I don't know what to check." "Well, I'm not a doctor." She says, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm not a wizard." She goes, "So you don't know how to check?" "I don't go to medical school, so he doesn't know how to fucking check." And she's like, "You need to get down there. You need to get busy because something's going on. Stuff's happening." And she's like, you're gonna have a baby on your hands." And so the doctor checks again, and she's like, "You guys need to figure this out and start, or the baby's gonna come out, and the obviously have to do the abortion before the fucking baby comes out." So the doctor checks again, and he's like, "No, like the woman's not about to give birth because she's not dilated." And the reason you have to wait because you could have gotten an abortion before the fucking baby was almost about to come out, but since it's almost about to come out, that's whenever the spell would actually work. It won't work if the baby's like 2
Naturally
weeks
born.
in, or no, I'm saying like if you do it too early, it won't work. It has to be right when the baby's about to come out. That's whenever they have to do the abortion, because
So
know how
when it's fully formed.
Because it's gonna be alive.
Yeah.
So it's like at the most innocent, because it's gonna be So you have to do the most evilest thing possible. So me and the doctor are involved in a conversation about when I come back, because I can't come back till Friday, but I got things scheduled up until then. "What do you have scheduled?" he asked. Right? "Can you give me another girl on Friday, and that would understand what's happening?" And as we're having the discussion, we hear a baby crying. And we both look down, and the baby came out. So that was a failure. He didn't get to abort it. Bastard. Thank God.
So what do they do with the babies then?
Well, the baby that got away, he gets adopted. Yeah. They don't do like anything bad with it. What you call it. So he says he didn't get to kill the baby, so we went back. Walked downstairs, got in the car, and drove away. Eventually, I'm back in the office, and the office is in downtown Chicago. I'm like, "What?" Yeah, and he says, and I asked my secretary to pull all the files of all the failed abortions, because I've had, at this point, this was my third one, and I want to know what's the common denominator. So she pulled all of mine and all the other high wizards, so I can review everybody's and see what's the common denominator. So then I can tell the other high wizards, say, avoid this. And the only common denominator I could come up with was that when they failed, they were happening during regular business hours. So it was like between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then that there was something else that he had found. He hadn't picked up on it before because everybody called it something different, he says. Everybody was saying, and people were outside praying with Jesus beads, rosaries, and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the other thing. That was the other common denominator. Every time every time there was a failed abortion, there was people outside of the clinic
Oh,
with
okay.
the rosaries praying, praying with the rosaries. So, okay. Okay, so after doing this for 5 years, he starts getting bored of the basically everything. Because, he was doing magic, he was doing the abortions, he was doing, like basically whatever everybody was telling him to do, he had to do it. So it was the same thing over and over and over. Partying with rock stars, doing magic, he was getting bored of it. Of course, not the magic, because he fucking loves the magic. But so he starts getting bored. But no matter what you do, you can't escape, because it's fucking Illuminati. It's the devil, satanic. And there's only 3 ways to get out. So by 1 is by dying natural causes. Number 2 is by being murdered, or you can just self-exterminate. Okay. Zach was 13 whenever he had sold his soul to the devil, so he didn't really know like if the devil was real or that even hell was real. He was a child. But then he became High Wizard. He's doing all this magic and stuff. So now that he's older and lived through this, he knows that the devil is real and he knows that hell is real. But he's not ready to go because that's the only way, you get out of fucking the satanic cult. So he says that he has a bank account with $87 million in it, right? But it's not his. The car that he's driving in is loaned to him from another Satanist. So he had no money or anything. And you have to think, like, if he tries to leave, they're gonna look for his family, right? Because, they're not just gonna fucking let him leave. Well, Zach hadn't fucking contacted his parents in the past 7 to 8 years. So he hadn't emailed them, he hadn't written to them, nothing. So there was no way of like finding his parents. So he started taking money little by little out of his regular account, because they're watching both of his accounts. They're watching the $87 million one, and then he has a regular one. But he says he can't take money out of the $87 million one because they'll charge him, because it's stealing. So he's taking out little by little, because he wants to save up so he can get the hell out of fucking whatchamacallit. So he does this for 8 months. And then he sold some like high-end items at home, like for $1,000. He knew it was going to be, money. So he had enough to get in his car. He jumped on the fucking interstate and he just kept going until he ran out of gas. So then he ran out of gas, right? He hitched a ride to the next town. And that's where he sold his car for scraps and he bought a bus ticket. And this was already 1999. At this time, you didn't need a passport to get into Canada. So that's where he's headed, mostly because he hadn't went there to do any work, like do any magic or do anything like bad. So he thought that it would be a good place to hide. But when he gets to the border, he gets rejected. And they ask him for a passport. He's like, you don't need a passport. And then he's like, well, I have a driver's license, right? But they don't care. Like, they still reject him. So he ends up going to Oklahoma. And you have to keep this in mind. Once you're made High Wizard, you're High Wizard for life. Like, no matter what you decide to do later on in life, if you want to be Christian or Catholic, like, you're still High Wizard if you're chosen for that. So he's still doing magic to get money and stuff, right? Just, and he's fucking obsessed with it. So he lived 1 year off grid, and then he lived 2 years on grid. And he had changed his name. He bought a car, everything. So he tried later on again going into Canada in 2002, but again he got rejected at the border. So eventually he gets a job at a jewelry store, right? And one day he walks in and one day a woman walks in, one day a woman walks in, right? And she's looking to buy a certain type of earrings, a certain pair of earrings. So Zach finds these earrings, right? Shows them to her and she tries them on. She loves them, they're perfect, she wants them. So they're about to close the deal, and then she says, you know what, I'm actually shopping with my daughter, so when I'm done I'll come back. When people say that, they ain't gonna fucking come back, right? Well, she leaves, comes back 3 hours later, and she pays for the earrings. And then she says, I got something for you. And she pulls out this little gold piece of tin,
shit.
like made out of a can. Like something that looks like that. Like that is made out of a can. And she says, the Blessed Mother is calling you into her army. Then she says that it's very powerful, right? So he's seeing that this woman's got to represent some type of cult. But he's not interested in because he's trying to get the fuck away from that. Like, So she just keeps telling him how powerful this thing is and wants him to take it because at this point, he's just looking at it. He hasn't touched it. He's just looking at it. So he's like, okay, I'm going to show this lady that there's no power to this thing. He sticks his hand out and he plans to grab this thing, toss it, maybe slam it on the floor because he can feel that something is coming from it. Like they put a death spell on it. So what he was going to do was, as High Wizard is, he didn't care if she got mad or returned the jewelry or anything. He was going to fucking, slam that shit on the floor and show you ain't got shit. Well, then he grabs the fucking piece of thing, clenches it in his fist, and all of a sudden everything disappears. And it's just a dark and void. But he can still hear the lady, the woman that had went into the whatchamacallit, right? And she's telling him about the magic spell that he had did the night before. Because remember, he's doing magic every night, right?
Oh, yeah.
So she tells him about that. And she was like, and that's of the devil. And then that he split over 100 churches and committed over 100 abortions. And that it's of the devil. She tells him about 9 more sins. And they all end with, and it's of the devil. And he says that's not even, like, though he's High Wizard, he didn't even have power to do that, to do what she just did. So her magic was way stronger than his. So he's thinking about letting go of this thing, right, in his hands. But he's like panicking because he's like, what if I drop it and then I fall into this void and I can't get out? Like, what the fuck do I do? I don't know. So she says again, the Blessed Mother is calling you into her army. And right then he knew that it was the Mother of God, because then she appeared. The Mother of God appeared. And he says that it was the most beautiful woman in the world that he had ever seen. She smiled and took him by the hand and turned him around and led him to her son Jesus. And she tells him that his job is to end abortion. So then he opens his hand, and all of a sudden that woman from earlier was still talking to him in the jewelry store. So like he was back in the jewelry store.
Yeah.
And she tells him that she's a Father Joseph Wayland's personal assistant. And while she's standing there, the phone rings. She answers it, and then all of a sudden she hands him the phone. And he's like, ooh, like, a little shaking because after all the shit that just happened, But he grabs the phone, puts it to his ear, and the priest is like, welcome to the faith. And I give the phone back to this woman. So then her daughter walks in, right? With this paper bag, with this paper grocery bag, and has a bunch of pamphlets in it. Catholic this, Catholic that.
Yeah. Catholic this, Catholic that.
Catholic, yeah, and a Catholic Bible. And 125 White House Catholic media discs. Then later that day, after work, he gets home and he tells his wife, hey, honey, guess what? I'm a Catholic now. Yeah. And he started going to daily mass. This fucking High Wizard, like, who was a satanic thing, that happened to him, and he became fucking Catholic.
He's white.
Like, he started, yeah.
I've seen the light.
Right?
I've seen the error of my ways. I am a Catholic now.
I'm like, what the hell?
Amen.
Yeah. So, he says after a while that he saw Jesus. He found out that there was a place called Retrolateration. I don't know. It's a place where people go and see Jesus, apparently. But they say that most people that go, they don't see nothing. So, moving forward,
Like Burning Man or Coachella or
wait, what?
it sounds like a festival, retro.
Right?
Like,
They're all going to go see Retrolateration.
yeah, DJ Jesus.
That's sad. Oh hell no. Okay. Moving forward, someone emails him one day, right? and they're like that he seemed arrogant. So he asked his wife if he seemed that way. She's like, no. And he goes on to ask, you know, a good number of priests that he knew. And he says that some of the priests had told him, like, you can't be arrogant and do the job that you do. You had to be humble. So he prayed to God, and he was like, you know, he didn't want to be arrogant. He didn't want to be perceived as arrogant. So he says he heard the saying, like, don't ask God for things, you know? But it's like, if you want something, of course you're going to fucking, you know, you're going to fucking ask.
Wait, I have a question. Why did he become, or why did, who told him that he was arrogant or he was being arrogant?
Well,
or how was he being arrogant? Like, doing what?
I guess since he's now in, like, going to church and, like, becoming Catholic and stuff, I guess somebody from the church, they emailed him and told him that. That's what he said. Yeah, he said that they emailed him and they said that he seemed arrogant.
Okay.
So, so he asked, right? Because if you want something, you ask first. So he asked God. You know, he didn't want to be arrogant. So he does this, and then the very next day, he says he woke up with both his retinas detached.
He was blind?
So he was blind.
What the fuck? Wait, what did he ask for?
He asked to not be arrogant or be perceived as arrogant.
So I need to write that down. Never to ask for that.
Don't ask for that.
Don't ask for that. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy, but I mean, all the shit that he's already said, that shit's crazy too. But at the end of it all, you know, he became Catholic. He ran a ministry website. He talked to a bunch of different places, you know. So he went from being a Satanist in places with, you know, Illuminati, where his one major duty was to close down churches and do abortions, like for these hexes and shit. You know, to becoming a Catholic and closing down abortion centers. So he's gone on to help shut down 49 abortion mills around the world. So saving about 75,000 babies a year. And he said that from all the years that he spent as a Satanist and in the cult and Illuminati, the one thing that he learned that he wants the world to know, he says, is it is impossible to sell what you don't own. And since you don't own your soul, the only selling of your soul that you do is a fake one. It's counterfeit. And it's just a trick to doing a bunch of things that you wouldn't really do otherwise. He says that Jesus paid the ultimate price for your soul. So there's no loaning it, no leasing it, or selling it. Period. I added that period part, but
Period.
But yeah, that was crazy. But
I have
it's fucking wild. He went from, you know, all that bullshit that he had to go through as a kid.
Is this person still alive? Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that he did with the abortions and everything, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But the whole child industry thing that they had going on.
Yeah.
What?
And I'm pretty sure it's still going on.
Oh, most definitely.
Dude, that is fucking crazy. And then they think that they're because these kids don't fucking know. They don't realize what's really going on. They think that they're fucking famous. They think that they're having fun, they think.
So this was part of the dark?
No. That was the dark one.
Which one?
Actually, that should have probably been the dark one. But this was supposed to be the supernatural one.
Oh, that was my question.
Yeah.
What was this thing that he would summon in the mirror? Did it ever? He never
talked about it after that.
Oh, okay.
But that does leave a That does leave a question of who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And why was he never brought up again? I mean, I guess he would still bring him up and tell him, you know, he did this. But I guess since it didn't talk to him, he just...
Because I thought it was going to lead to them interacting more and something, you know, happening because of how you mentioned that he would be trying to like summon him for hours upon hours and shit. Like,
but I guess it just led him to being more addicted to magic because he knew that he could do that, and it was like he loved being able to do that. I don't feel like it was more of him being there. I feel like it was more of him being able to
like
summon.
I can do this.
Like, what else can I do after this?
So the abortion stuff that he stops is the ones that have to do with that,
With what?
with the
with
satanic
the
stuff. Yeah,
I mean,
because if he's trying to do that too, all abortion clinics like piss off. Like, don't even don't.
I mean, actually, you know what? I don't know.
You know what I mean? Because like now that he's Catholic and he's like, you know, I'd be like, you get him. Get y'all want to fucking get somebody? Y'all get
You
him.
remember him?
What his fucking reason for doing it. Fuck this bullshit.